This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Just as the normalization process is complex and has taken decades, any attempt at rollback, it's not going to happen with a magic wand or a snap of the fingers. It's just not.
President-elect Donald Trump takes office on Friday. On the campaign trail, he took a hard line against Cuba, but could a research project with scientists from Mote Marine Labs and the University of Havana teach a lesson about the benefits of collaboration between our two nations? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Conan. Welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the Mote-Cuba connection coming up. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. Wow. If you love Major League Baseball and spring training, you live right in the right part of Florida. The Atlanta Braves are now in exclusive talks with Sarasota County to bring spring training to Northport by 2019. The Braves were in negotiations with Collier, Palm Beach, and Sarasota. Collier dropped out last month, and Palm Beach has yet to get any approval from the county commission. The West Villages Improvement District and its development partner, Tammy Homes, have been playing a key role in the negotiations. The complex would include training facilities, practice fields, and the 7,500-seat stadium. But the question is, who will pay for it?
We have some partners. It will be, we have an application process with the state of Florida. There will be some tourist development tax dollars from Sarasota County. There will be some, hopefully, some participation from the city of Northport, the Atlanta Braves themselves, as well as the West Villages.
A week from today, senior Braves officials will brief the county commission on the status of negotiations. We'll have more details tonight coming up at 11 o'clock. Northport police are charging a woman in connection with the death of her 4-month-old grandson. 44-year-old Robin Lee Florand is charged with aggravated manslaughter. Police say the charges follow a lengthy investigation into the death of Anakin David James Ennis. The baby was found dead in November at his home on Traverse Avenue. Police say he was left unsupervised in a bathtub and drowned. Methamphetamine was found in the bathroom, and Florand tested positive for the drug. New details on the search for the suspect in a double murder in Manatee County. Investigators are releasing this new video of the suspect's vehicle. It was recorded while leaving the scene, where the bodies of 27-year-old LaShawna Stevenson Weeks and 32-year-old Barry Joseph were found on Friday. Deputies believe it was a targeted attack. The suspect is described as a black man wearing a red hat and a white shirt. Anyone with information is asked to contact the sheriff's office or Crime Stoppers using the number on your screen. The man who fatally shot 5 people at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport earlier this month is being held without bond. This morning, the FBI confirmed the 9mm gun used by Esteban Santiago in the rampage was the same weapon seized and later returned by Anchorage police. During interrogation, Santiago claimed to have been inspired by ISIS. An arraignment is scheduled for January 30th. Santiago faces the death penalty if convicted. Governor Rick Scott is proposing major changes in college education. Scott is looking to freeze college tuition and expanding the state's Bright Future Scholarship program to cover summer classes, even getting rid of sales tax on college textbooks. Scott is proposing Finish in 4, Save More, an idea to cut debt by helping students graduate on time.
I think it's a good idea, as long as it's attached to a good plan.
Scott is also looking into cutting graduate teaching assistant fees by 25%, which would allow them to receive more affordable education. Floridians looking for work are also getting a hand from the state. The job search website employflorida.com is being made more accessible with simple user registration, expanded search options, and modern design. Last month, Florida's unemployment rate was 4.9%, up slightly for a second month. According to CareerSource Florida, there are more than 250,000 job listings on the website. Can you believe it? It has been a year since tornadoes touched down on the Suncoast, killing 2 people and causing millions of dollars worth of damage. On Baywinds Lane in Sarasota, things have returned to normal aside from a missing house torn apart and destroyed by the twister. On Siesta Key, the Excelsior condos had more than $3 million in damage after rooftops were ripped from the building. Repairs have been made and the 60 displaced residents have returned. And Bob, I remember the incredible work you did that weekend.
Well, it was a team effort, obviously, and we also can't forget the two that lost their lives in Duet as well as a result of that same storm system. Last year, we were dealing with a El Nino situation, which makes the storms a little bit more intense. We do have another round of storms that may be headed our way, which will produce some thunderstorms. That won't happen until the weekend. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But the storms that did move through, you don't normally see this. EF2 storms and tornadoes. We had winds at 127, the Duet tornado, and 132 on the Siesta tornado. And those are EF2s. Typically, our tornado scales here in Florida, usually EF0s, EF1s, maybe 60 to 90 mile-an-hour winds at times, but not that high, and that was a direct result of El Nino that particular year. 68 degrees right now, dew point 59. Winds are calm, the pressure 30-20. That is starting to slide away. I mentioned those possibilities of stronger cells once again coming this way, and that's a result of this storm system that is developing in Texas right now. This area of low pressure will get itself organized and then move off to the east, northeast in time, but close enough to us to bring a good round of storms our way, mainly on Sunday night and Monday morning. So look out for that. We'll have much more on that coming up a little bit later. The temperatures right now are pretty nice and will stay nice, Alan, right on in through the evening. So if you have any evening plans outdoors, should not be a problem.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, President Obama takes steps to normalize the relationship between the U.S. and Cuba. But is it time for politicians to take a page from shark researchers? We'll show you how a relationship between Cuba and Mote Marine is garnering success when we return.
Man, he used to hang out with us.
Yeah, and then he just stopped.
I hope he's gonna be okay.
1 in 5 of us has a mental health condition, but emotional pain can be hard to spot and harder to talk about. Learn the 5 signs of emotional suffering. If you see 1 or more signs in someone you care about, reach out, connect, and offer to help.
Megan, come sit with us. And our answers for questions.
Visit changedirection.org.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
It may be January, but we live in Florida. So head outdoors for seafood and music at the 2nd Annual Sarasota Seafood and Music Festival, happening Saturday and Sunday, January 21st and 22nd from 10 to 6 p.m. Savor mouth-watering Florida Gulf Coast seafood dishes by top restaurants and chefs, while you enjoy great live music from some of Florida's top musical groups. So grab your family and friends at the Sarasota Seafood and Music Festival, January 21st and 22nd. For more information, visit seafoodfestivals.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need
the Debt Ninja. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you could be facing wage garnishments, levies, liens, property seizure, cancellation of business license, closure of business. The Debt Ninja fights your IRS debt. That's why you need the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja has found the best companies in the country who are on your side to fight debt. Want to learn if you qualify for the IRS Financial Hardship Program? Stop the IRS from garnishing your wages. Even if your bank account has been seized, if you have undeclared taxes, if you have existing IRS debt, it's not too late to call, so grab your phone now. Call the Debt Ninja at 800-945-0083. That's 800-945-0083. Settle your IRS debt to get the power of the Debt Ninja. Dial this number now, 800-945-0083.
Start the year off right with a great deal during the Start Something New event going on now at Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota. Come drive the most awarded SUV of all time, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, or shop the area's largest selection of new Jeep Wranglers. Stop by today and drive away in a new Jeep Compass for just $14,999. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota today.
They may be a beautiful laboratory of marine life, but for more than 50 years, the waters from Florida to Cuba have been a Cold War battleground, from blockades to boat lifts to desperate attempts to escape Castro's Cuba. But now those waters are the scene of an incredible joint venture between American and Cuban marine scientists. ABC7's Adam Cellini has the story.
Havana, the capital city of Cuba, known for its ancient bright cars and buildings that make it feel like walking back in time. But few realize that time capsule extends off the country's shoreline and into the ocean depths.
To me, it looks like what I remember the Florida Keys looking like in the 1970s.
Moat researcher Bob Huter has made dozens of trips to the island as part of a partnership with Cuban scientists at the University of Havana. Along the way, they've done landmark research on the migration of rare longfin mako sharks, abundant in Cuban waters. But they also set out to prove another critical point.
The Straits of Florida is not something that divides Florida from Cuba. It actually is something in terms of the animals that live in it. It's something that connects Florida with Cuba and makes for a highway back and forth.
On land, the Obama administration also trying to reconnect those dots, restoring diplomatic relations with Cuba in December of 2014.
Nino, get closer to the float!
Months later, Moat's work in Cuba became the focus of a Discovery Channel special on Shark Week. But even more special for Huter and Cuban colleague Jorge Angulo was getting published in a peer-reviewed journal last month, an accomplishment nearly as rare as tagging a longfin mako.
For me, my own experience dealing with all these issues have been quite demanding, but at the same time have been rewarded in the sense that we have been able to work regardless the environment that's around us.
Efforts by the Obama administration didn't kick off Moat's partnership with Cuba, but researchers say it certainly made things a lot easier. But now the question is whether that will continue to progress or regress under the new administration taking over later this week.
It's hard to predict what's going to happen.
After all that we have done, all the momentum we have gained, we are of course worried that changes in the incoming administration may have.
On the campaign trail, Donald Trump talked tough about rolling back some of Obama's executive orders regarding Cuba, and his appointment of Mauricio Claver Carron, an outspoken supporter of the embargo, to his transition team is a sign he could follow through. But new college history professor Brendan Goff says recent steps to mend relationships took years and won't be easy to erase.
Just as the normalization process is complex and has taken decades, any attempt at rollback, it's not going to happen with a magic wand or a snap of a fingers. It's just not.
But even Goff admits it's hard to predict a president who has been so unpredictable.
How much can you have a normalization of relations between any two countries if the presidency itself and the entire political culture of the United States itself is going through abnormal times?
Whatever happens, scientists are reminding us nature doesn't follow politics. And when it comes to Florida and Cuba, the underwater landscape is too connected to ignore.
It's critical that we continue to have these collaborations and not just have this sort of artificial wall between us, because we absolutely know that we share these resources.
In Sarasota, Adam Cellini, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
So how did the Moat Marine University of Havana relationship begin, and what does it mean for Cuban-U.S. relations? We'll speak with researchers from both nations along with the head of a trilingual newspaper. When we return, we take it to the trapezoid.
If you want 24/7 access to ABC7's breaking news stories, weather forecasts, traffic alerts, health reports, Suncoast View, and more ABC7 programming, now there's good news. Introducing the free ABC7 channel on Amazon Fire TV. Your 24/7 access to ABC7. Just search ABC7 on the streaming device and download the free ABC7 channel app. Or if you don't have an Amazon Fire TV, you can get one at Amazon.com.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.
Look, I'm not an ideologue. I am an originalist.
Selling your home? Insist on a 3D showcase tour from Gulf Shores Realty. Virtual tours are flat and boring and look more like a slideshow than a tour. A 3D tour from Gulf Shores Realty is like actually walking through the home without the drive. Get instant access to your next home from any device. Multiple views give homebuyers a perspective like no other. For a limited time, mention ABC7 and Gulf Shores Realty will provide a complimentary 3D tour with your new listing.
Welcome back. So what did this new shark research reveal? A study jointly published last month by researchers from Mote Marine and Cuba's University of Havana uncovered the traveling patterns of the rare long-fin mako shark. Tracking efforts were done in 2012 and 2015, showing the sharks traveled an average of 36 miles per day. But what does that study mean for our understanding of the species, and what could it mean for U.S.-Cuban relations? Joining us for more on this effort and U.S.-Cuban relations is Patrick Montega, editor and publisher of La Gaceta newspaper, Dr. Bob Huter, director of the Center for Shark Research at Mote Marine, and joining us via Skype from Havana is Dr. Jorge Angulo Valdez, head of the Marine Conservation Research Group at the University of Havana. Thank you all for joining us, and Doctor, it's an honor. It's the first interview we have done live from Cuba, so welcome to our broadcast. And let me ask you first out, what did you learn from this research, and how was it affected and aided by you being able to work with the folks from Mote Marine Lab?
First of all, the most important thing I have learned from this research and others that we do is that it is possible to work together despite our political difference, and also that it's very important that we focus on the issues that really matter for our two populations, for our two countries. Our natural resources are important for both of us. We depend on those resources, so we have to put away any political difference and work for the common good.
And Bob, why is this research in terms of this type of shark, just for people watching us right now, why is it so important?
Well, Alan, in this case, sharks are sort of they're the charismatic banner for this kind of work together. I'm a shark expert. I've been working on sharks more than 40 years, so my particular interest is in sharks. And in fact, they represent the types of marine resources that go back and forth between our two countries. So they're appropriate study animals for this kind of work to understand what we call the connectivity of our marine resources. But it goes so much beyond that. And I think what Jorge and I have learned over 12 years of working together is that the research that we do, the papers that we publish will be important in terms of its impact in the scientific world, but the greater impact is going to be the relationships that we've established between our institutions, our own families, and the families and institutions of Cuba.
Patrick, I remember a day where the waters between here and Cuba were so tense because of whether it was, if you go back to the early 1960s, the blockade of Cuba, the Mariel boat lift, the efforts by some Cubans to reach the U.S., that it would be hard to imagine that this kind of research between the two countries would have been possible.
Back then, you're absolutely right. We certainly are glad, though, many of us, that it is possible today. The Florida Strait should be a connection between us, not a divide as it has been. And it's nice to see that we no longer have to shout at each other across the Straits of Florida, and instead can shake hands and work together.
Jorge, could you describe to us what kind of almost hoops you had to jump through to get this kind of research going in the first place with your American partners?
Well, as you know, political difference affects every single aspect of human life. And in our case, the hurdles have been different and has been very big sometimes. They have come from authorization permits to get on board of boat, to do the research, to import some of the equipment that are going to be deployed and then the animals that we capture. But also there are other hurdles like cultural difference between our two, or between us, and also language barriers. All of those hurdles, we have seen them as challenges, and as such, we were able to overcome them by focusing our work on what is important and putting on the table what really matters.
You're saying that one benefit in terms of working with the folks from Mote Marine Lab is the technology that they can employ on this project. Bob, what kind of benefit does it make to the folks at Mote Marine Lab having Cuban partners?
Well, first of all, let me just say that as scientists, we all speak the same language. So when we reach out to folks in Cuba, we're able to communicate beyond these cultural differences, and then we eventually break through some of the other problems that Jorge mentioned. I'll tell you a quick story that I was a grad student at the University of Miami a million years ago, and I used to go down in the Keys and dive in the Keys and go down to Key West and look south and know that Cuba was 90 miles away. And as a scientist, know that I was told that you can't go there, you can't study what's going on there, and yet understanding, having a feeling for the fact that the fish that were in the Keys were traveling over to Cuba and vice versa. So what we gain by having this relationship is a way to look, in some ways, to look into a time machine, look into the past, because Cuba has done such a great job in protecting many of their resources.
Okay, there is so much more to discuss, along with a check on our forecast coming up after this break, so stay with us.
Our community has its struggles. The fact is, people have less than they did just a few years ago, and sadly, the need becomes more profound every day. Season of Sharing provides funds to help individuals and families in need, ensuring they will not end up homeless and without a roof over their heads. Together, providing a helping hand and making a difference. Season of Sharing. Give today at cfsarasota.org.
Attention small business owners. Penn Funding announces the easiest and fastest business funding program, the Platinum Business Account.
We needed cash fast. Business is good, but this is an emergency.
We needed some new equipment, and the banks wouldn't help us.
At Penn Funding, we like to say, yes, you're approved. With your Platinum Business Account, you could qualify for up to $50,000 or more. This amazing new business account funding program is so effective, you could have the cash you need in just days.
I called, spoke with an agent who pre-qualified us, and connected me.
Call now for your Platinum Business Account. If you've been in business for at least 6 months, you could qualify for up to $50,000 or more in just days.
I called Penn Funding and had my money fast.
Need cash for your business? Call Penn Funding now.
Call 800-658-3433. 800-658-3433.
Robotic surgery is changing medicine. The robot has better vision than a human. You can see 10 times better magnification than the human eye, but it takes a human eye to run the machine. In fact, it takes multiple human eyes to treat a patient. We've perfected the team, we've perfected the procedure, and the more experienced the team, the better the quality outcome.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Our discussion of the collaborative research between Mote Marine and the University of Havana continues in just a moment, but right now let's get a check on our weather from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. A beautiful sunset again tonight. Van Wezel webcam showing some high-level cirrus clouds moving overhead. At times you can see a sundog appear right there just after 5 o'clock or so. You can see that to the right, and then the sun setting over nice conditions right there with some upper level cloudiness coming in from a result of a storm system that is developing to the west of us. Some patchy fog tonight. Weather headlines as far as that goes, warm through Saturday. And then look for some storms late Sunday and into Monday. You know, this is the anniversary of the tornadoes that moved through here just a year ago. Nothing like that now. This is actually false echoes, if you will, from the radar. They're doing some military exercises down to the south off the Keys there, creating that what appears to be rain, but it's not. And we're not anticipating any rain tonight, just a little bit of fog forming. 68 degrees out at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport. It's 71 in Bradenton and 70 into Venice, a 68-degree temperature with a 59-degree dew point there at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport. Winds are calm, and with the calm winds and clear skies, there'll be some patchy fog forming. It could be rather thick in some areas, too, just around sunrise tomorrow, especially inland. The high, third day in a row, we were 80 degrees or above. 80 degrees the high today officially, and 84 the record set back in 1999. No rainfall. We're going to see some pretty good chances for rain come late Sunday and Monday, and that rain could be heavy at times. 60s over the Panhandle right here. We have upper 60s right near the water, mid 70s in Arcadia and Wauchula now, I should say. Wauchula 71, Punta Gorda at 72, and the Gulf water temperature 67 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast pretty much just like today, with sunshine around, some fog in the morning burning off, and then we'll see a few clouds in the afternoon. High temperatures will be about 8 to 10 degrees above average for this time of year. Same old song and dance for January, it appears. But things will come to a change, though, as this area of low pressure develops and eventually sweeps a cold front our way, and we'll start to cool down on Monday. Highs will struggle to get to 70, so it'll be a little bit cooler on Monday and Tuesday. Well, that ice storm that moved through the Midwest and the central U.S. over the weekend is now moving through upstate New York, stretching all the way down into Connecticut, and it looks like out west, yet another storm system promises to bring some heavy rainfall and snow to the higher elevation there in Washington and Oregon. Well, the high pressure leaves, storm gathers to the west. Until then, though, things stay pretty calm here. And speaking of calm, it will be calm out there in the waters. For boaters tomorrow, just a light chop in the bays and inland waters, and southeast winds turn to the southwest at 10 knots. The extended forecast, warm weather, as I said, right through Sunday, and 30% chance for showers on Sunday. The weekend, for the most part, looks okay. Saturday being the better of the 2 days. Then the rain chance at 70% Sunday night, and Monday, cooler weather Monday and Tuesday. Alan will be right back at the Trapezoid right after this.
2 years ago, my son was born. Now he's running, playing, and learning to speak. When I look at him, I can't help but to see how free he is. I want my son to have the same freedom when he grows up. Protect our freedom of speech, not just for us, but for the future generations.
On your TV, on your computer, on your camera, on your smartphone, on your Apple Watch. And now you can get ABC7, your Suncoast News on Fire TV. Just go to mysuncoast.com and click on the mobile tab for a list of fast and free downloads that deliver ABC7, your Suncoast News on the go. ABC7, My Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch My Suncoast News wherever you are. On our live stream, on our newly redesigned mysuncoast.com, and a brand new ABC7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, and dining with recipes in all the hottest Suncoast restaurants. Visit mysuncoast.com and click on the mobile tab to download the ABC7 My Suncoast app for iOS and Android.
It may be January, but we live in Florida. So head outdoors for seafood and music at the 2nd Annual Sarasota Seafood and Music Festival, happening Saturday and Sunday, January 21st and 22nd from 10 to 6 p.m. Savor mouth-watering Florida Gulf Coast seafood dishes by top restaurants and chefs, while you enjoy great live music from some of Florida's top musical groups. So grab your family and friends at the Sarasota Seafood and Music Festival, January 21st and 22nd. For more information, visit seafoodfestivals.com.
Florida's last private island is a waterfront lifestyle like no other. This is Harbor Isle, just 5 minutes from the sugar sand beaches of Anna Maria Island. This sun-splashed paradise invites you to enjoy natural adventures and all the recreation of a tropical resort. Island coach homes and waterfront condos are now available from the high 400s. Don't miss the Luxury by the Bay event, Saturday, January 21st from noon till 4 p.m. at Harbor Isle. Water ski show, luxury cars, wine tasting, model home tours, and more.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the collaboration between researchers at Mote Marine here in Sarasota and the University of Havana in Cuba. Our guests tonight are Patrick Montega of La Gazeta newspaper, Dr. Bob Huder of the Mote Marine Lab, and joining us by Skype is Dr. Jorge Angulo Valdez of the University of Havana. Welcome back, everybody. Bob, you know, this is incredible work that you're doing, but we have a new president coming in who, as we said at the outset of this broadcast, has been talking tough on Cuba. Are you concerned that he will reverse course and make research projects like this more difficult to do?
Well, I mean, of course we're concerned. We don't know what's going to happen, and Jorge alluded to this as well. I am hopeful that, and this is kind of a naive scientist's point of view of this, I'm hopeful that the business side of this administration will see the benefits of us moving forward, continuing to move forward and engage in the way that President Obama started on the path that he started us on a few years ago.
When we did open the relationship with Cuba and normalize it, what difference did it make about how you were able to do what you do?
Well, I'd been working in Cuba about 10 years before that, so had gone through all this difficult process of having to qualify for travel and all that sort of thing. When President Obama made his declaration in December of 2014, it put us on a path where logistically things got easier, travel got easier, paying for things got easier, but a lot of the basic challenges still remain.
Like what?
Well, for example, we're not allowed to use any kind of federal or state funding, any kind of government funding for any of the work we do in Cuba, and that really, really ties our hands.
So Patrick, what do you think is going to happen now? I mean, has this been all bluster in terms of all the talk about basically shutting down the normalization, or do you suspect that the Trump administration is going to move forward?
Well, first of all, let me define where we're at. We are normalizing relationships. It is far from normal. The official U.S. government policy is the overthrow of the Cuban government. Hard to have real friendly relations when that is your stated goal in life. It's kind of like the Palestinians and the Israelis. You know, somebody's got to say, hey, we're not fighting you anymore. So we're trying to normalize relations, but it's far from normal. The president's been, our new president's been all over the place on this. He's put some people in powerful positions that in the past have been hardliners on Cuba. I think we'll know very soon, though, there's a provision of the Helms-Burton Act that every president has put a waiver on for since Clinton, and that would allow Cuban nationals, people who used to live in Cuba, to sue as if they were U.S. citizens when they were living in Cuba, and that was U.S. property that was taken during the early 60s. That waiver of Section 3 has kept things somewhat normal, but if we go and allow that to happen, all heck's going to break loose.
You know, in Adam's story, the professor there said that it took a long time to normalize to the point that we have. It would not be something that's easy to unwind, but the same could be said for the Affordable Health Care Act. It's not going to be that easy to do it all away, but they're still going to try. Are you concerned they're still going to try in terms of normalizations with Cuba?
Like I said, it's hard to tell. He's been all over the place, but we'll know very shortly.
Jorge, have you had any discussions with your colleagues about what happens now, and or if you're going to be able to continue this research with your friends from Mote Marine, should the policy of the American government change?
Yes, that's been a very important topic that we have been discussing here since the results of the election back in November. But I have to say something. We Cubans are used to work in hard times. So we have had difficult times. Other times have not been that difficult. After Obama and Raul Castro made their declaration in December 2014, things were a lot better, like my friend Bob mentioned it. Now, we have the feeling, and we are optimistic by the fact that we consider that the Cuba train has already departed the station. And there is a lot of in stake there, and we have to really focus on what is important. You know, as I mentioned before, just put aside our political difference and find ways of collaboration and bilateral collaboration, which is, in my opinion, the true backbone of this relationship.
Are there other areas of research that really is needed in the waters between here and Havana and the rest of Cuba that really the science community is basically demanding and needs to have done and can benefit by this relationship?
No, yes, that's for sure. We should think in using science as a bridge for communication and collaboration. We have to focus on the issues that affect our two countries and then find a scientific solution to that. And other disciplines of science that can be benefited from these are not only marine, but also social, historical, economical, legal. There are many other things that can be done together for the well-being of our two countries that they for sure overpass any political difference.
And Bob, I think you had something to say?
Well, I was going to say this environmental bridge that we've created between Cuba and the United States through our work, it's even more critical because we're here in Florida. If we were discussing this up in Washington, we might have a different slant on things. But in Florida, we truly share the same environment with Cuba. When we have hurricanes come up through the Caribbean into the Gulf, they're coming from Cuba to Florida or vice versa. We share water, we share fish.
But Patrick, and we only have less than a minute left here, but the members of the Florida congressional delegation, Marco Rubio, Bill Nelson, and the members of Congress, they're all over the board about whether they want this relationship to continue to be opened up.
You're absolutely right. There's 100 reasons why to expand our relationship, everything from drug interdiction to hurricane preparedness to oil drilling and the protection of our waters. There's one reason not to, and those are the Cuban exiles in Miami. And so the question is are these people going to listen to a small group of very loud people in Miami, or are they going to listen to what's best for all Floridians?
Okay, let's take a quick break, but when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about the future of race relations under the Trump administration.
I entered into real estate to help people. I would like to invoke a trust in people that I will do everything in my power to help them navigate the process of either buying or selling a home. I know how stressful buying a home can be. I've bought and sold properties in the past before I was an agent. I want you to be able to trust me to stay in contact with you, be available to you whenever you have questions. My name is Kimberly, and I want to be your real estate agent.
A promise was made, a promise that hit the beaches of Normandy, a vow that captured Iwo Jima, a contract that weathered Tet, a pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq, an IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
That will look great on you. Every time you shop here, you have the power to change lives.
Does she work here?
No, she's just a proud supporter of Goodwill.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Welcome back. How will the collaboration between researchers in the U.S. and Cuba benefit the scientific community, and can our politicians take a lesson from the University of Havana and Montmarine? Our guests join us now for final thoughts. Jorge, what do you want our viewers to take away from this conversation tonight?
Well, I would like to have our viewers to understand and really comprehend the situation here, that we are two countries separated by 90 miles of water. It's a long bridge, and it's not the separation. And both communities, both people are important, and we depend on natural resources. So we have to get common sense in our life and allow things to happen and avoid conflicts and work for the good for everybody, not for just a handful of people.
And Bob, right now the research continues.
Yeah, and we know that engaging and continuing along normalization is the best thing for science. It's the best thing, I think, probably for business, for American business as well as the Cubans. It's the best thing for our people. And I think as a people, as a society here, we have to decide whether we're going to choose history over the future.
Patrick, this normalization has been going incredibly slowly, even since President Obama restored relations. I mean, it's unlikely, I would imagine, that the pace will quicken and faster under a President Trump.
You know, I was surprised to see us eliminate the wet foot, dry foot policy last week. President Obama signed that. He got rid of another bad provision in our relations. And Trump has not said that he wants to back off, that he wants to reinstate that. So maybe that's a good sign that down the road he will continue to allow these things to happen. We'll just have to wait and see.
Thank you very much. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's show, Race Relations under Donald Trump. During his campaign, Trump asked those in the minority community, "What do you have to lose?" He outlined a 10-point plan to improve education and lower crime in inner cities, but not everyone is convinced race relations will improve under Trump. Here's what some of you are saying. Virginia Deese writes, "After watching this man's poisonous tongue all through the campaign, I am confident that he is going to set back equality about 50 years. Everything we fought for in the 60s and 70s will be gone." Joshua Von Stone Foster writes, "After 8 years of the most racially polarizing American political since George Wallace, almost anyone would be an improvement on Obama." And Chad Helmuth writes, "No matter what race, what religion, what sex, you're never going to make everyone happy. Love thy neighbor, treat them as you wish to be treated. All one can do is try." Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, want to watch past roundtable discussions? They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Patrick Montega is editor and publisher of La Gazette newspaper. Dr. Bob Huter is the director of Center for the Shark Research at Montmarine, and Dr. Jorge Angulo Valdez heads the Marine Conservation Research Group at the University of Havana. When we return, we'll have consumer advice in our For Your Benefit segment, plus the largest mass stranding of dolphins in U.S. history. Find out how Montmarine is working with other organizations to find out what led to more than 80 dolphins to their demise. The details in our primetime headlines.
Tomorrow on ABC7 News at 7.
There was no show to work for like Ringling Brothers, because it truly is the greatest show on earth.
After 146 years, the Big Top is coming down for good. We'll show you how the Ringling Brothers Circus helped create the city of Sarasota and what its demise means for the future of circus. I'm Alan Cohn. We'll have reaction from some of the most renowned performers in the world.
Tomorrow on ABC7 News at 7. Your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
How long have we been married, dear?
For 76 years.
He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years. We decided on Meals on Wheels because I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do. We're the Spans. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 1-800-565-7740. That's 1-800-565-7740.
Welcome back. How many of the appliances and devices in your home are connected to the internet? More than you might think. Now the Federal Trade Commission is offering a cash prize to the public for whoever can find a good way that protects security and vulnerabilities in those devices. And joining us for more on the internet and things at home, Inspector Challenge and benefits expert is Watchdog Jerry Zivick. Jerry, well, whatever people come up with, I hope they have better security than the Democratic National Committee.
Well, it's hard not to have better security. What's happened is we all have what are known as smart homes. We have all these devices that run our security, run our dishwasher, run our heater, and all these things are connected to the internet. And by being connected to the internet, everybody's at risk here. They're connected between themselves and the internet, so there are vulnerabilities. And the devices that we're running now are first-generation devices, and the hackers are like 2 or 3 generations ahead of us. So the FTC has come up with this idea that they're going to have a prize of $35,000 for whoever can come up with an idea to secure our devices. It doesn't have to be a software program, or it doesn't have to be on the cloud. It could actually be in a device or something that we haven't even imagined yet exists.
Well, how concerned is the FTC about this? I mean, have there been any examples of foreign attackers getting into, homes and having something to do with, like, for instance, in many cases, refrigerators are now connected to the internet, and they have security cameras with that?
Well, everything's interconnected, and that interconnection connects them to our computers and our data that's in the cloud or in our machines. So it's a huge risk. Your bank accounts, your passwords, anything you have can be hacked by these devices. Actually, if you're not using that device on a regular basis, you should just disconnect from the internet.
Why is the FTC challenging the public and offering this contest to do this? I would imagine industry would be working around the clock on this, given what has been happening the last couple of months.
Well, I think it's a really inspired idea. The prize money, it's a nice amount of money, $25,000. I don't mean to diminish it, but it's not a huge amount of money. What they're doing is they're doing it to create interest on the part of people, because whoever creates this, they will then own the intellectual property, and they'll be able to sell it to any type of venture capital company. So if the FTC would give somebody $1 million, basically they would be funding somebody's research to make a lot of money elsewhere, so there would be a conflict.
We have less than a minute left, but in the interim, is there anything that people should be doing with all these devices at home to make them more safe?
Well, as I said, what they should do is they should disconnect wherever they're not using it. If you're not connecting to your security system by your phone on a regular basis, just disable the app. Get rid of it from your phone completely. But I would like to point out that the FTC is taking applications from March 1st till March 27th, and you can go to the ftc.com and look for the application. The application should be available about March 1st.
Okay, Jerry, thanks for letting us know about the threat. Your primetime headlines are coming up right after this break.
Designers do it with style.
Tell me what's going on here, because
Why, you don't like my hair?
The Mark and Mandy Show. In-depth design ideas.
What is up with the tuck tape here? Let's cover it up.
Amazing beauty and fashion tips.
So Halle Berry has amazing skin. Her secret is coffee grounds.
No.
Delicious recipes.
Today, I'm gonna show you a special dish that is sure to please that special someone in your life.
Watch The Mark and Mandy Show right here on your favorite channel.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
Get the new year off to a great start with safety and peace of mind. Subaru was named the 2016 Best Overall Brand, Most Trusted, and Best Performance Brand by Kelley Blue Book. And ALG named Subaru its top mainstream brand for residual value for 2016. Now you can lease a new Subaru Outback for just $229 a month or get 0% financing with complimentary maintenance included. Get more for your money. Go to Sunset Subaru in Sarasota.
Now for a look at your primetime headlines. President Barack Obama is offering clemency to 209 inmates, including former intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning. Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison for leaking classified government and military documents to WikiLeaks. She has served more than 6 years of that sentence. Obama is also pardoning 64 people, including retired General James Cartwright, charged with making false statements during a probe on disclosure of classified information. The majority of the other commutations were for drug offenders. President-elect Donald Trump is tweeting out a thank you to General Motors and Walmart. Both companies announced plans to add thousands of jobs. Walmart says it will add 10,000 U.S. jobs this year. Last year, the world's largest retailer said it would close hundreds of stores and lay off more than 16,000 workers. General Motors is also announcing plans to invest at least $1 billion in U.S. factories, which could create or retain at least 1,000 U.S. jobs. GM recently announced layoffs at 3 U.S. plants, cutting 3,300 jobs. Neither company mentioned the president-elect in their announcements. Trump says he will follow through on his campaign promise to repeal Obamacare, which 20 million Americans rely on, but he has not revealed how he would replace it. ABC's Alex Stone has more.
Could it be an Obamacare bombshell? Just days after Americans rallied in a dozen cities all across the country to stop Republicans from repealing the Affordable Care Act.
Their plan is to make America sick again.
A new nonpartisan report finds that if a repeal is successful, 18 million Americans could lose insurance, and that's only in the first year. By 2026, that number soars to 32 million. The Congressional Budget Office put out the new estimate immediately. House Speaker Paul Ryan's office called it, quote, meaningless, as it takes into account no measures to replace the law. But Republicans have been stingy on details of any replacement plans. President-elect Donald Trump says his plan is almost done and even told the Washington Post, quote, we're going to have insurance for everybody. But so far, he won't say how.
The whole point is we want to make sure that we have access for affordable care for everybody, including people who have pre-existing conditions. We think that's very important.
President-elect Trump says details will come out only after his pick for Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price is confirmed. But Price's confirmation could have issues, with Democrats already calling for an ethics investigation. New reports say the congressman bought and sold stock in about 40 healthcare and biomedical companies in recent years. He also sponsored a number of health-related bills during that time. Now, Democrats want to know if he broke the law.
This seems like exactly the kind of financial entanglement that's left a lot of people feeling alienated from Washington, D.C.
Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The search for missing Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 is over. The Boeing 777 vanished from radar in the Indian Ocean nearly 3 years ago. Authorities are suspending their efforts despite spending $160 million on the search. Little was uncovered about the flight's final moments. 239 people on board the flight were killed. Families of the victims are devastated by the news.
It's been hard because, you know, you lose someone that you love in your family. He's my only brother, and now there's no hope that he's ever going to be found, so we can never have a proper funeral or anything like that.
Malaysian Airlines says it remains hopeful new information will eventually lead to the aircraft being found. Now to a follow-up on a deadly nightclub shooting in Turkey that left 39 people dead. Istanbul's governor says the suspect in the New Year's attack has confessed. He is being detained along with 4 other people. Authorities say the attack was inspired by ISIS. The wife of Orlando nightclub shooter Omar Martin made her first appearance in court today. She is charged with aiding and abetting terrorism and obstructing justice. Authorities say Salman knowingly took steps to obstruct the investigation following the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. Her husband killed 49 people and injured 50 more last June. Salman's uncle says she would not do anything to hurt anyone.
If you really know Noor, you know she will not do it to harm anybody. She don't like to see anybody get hurt.
Salman will be back in court tomorrow. Now to the Everglades, where researchers are trying to determine what caused the largest mass stranding of dolphins in U.S. history. Mote marine scientists are working with the Coast Guard, NOAA, and the FWC after 95 false killer whales became stranded. 74 died on their own, and another 10 had to be euthanized. The species typically swims in large groups, but stay away from the shore. Mote Marine is hoping autopsies will offer clues to why this happened.
Well, it was really hard and sad to lose so many animals. The fact that we're going to be able to learn things about their life history and things that we've never known about these creatures is pretty remarkable. And will hopefully, be used to help the ones that are still out there.
It will likely be weeks before the results are released. And that is all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.